Hey everybody, Josh Sayertson of World Alternative Media here, and we are here with the one and only Luke Rudowski of We Are Change, someone who influenced me a long time ago to basically give up everything and become the new media. And you know what? I say I gave up everything, but it was one of the best things I ever did, and I really want others to pick up where I've left off as well. And that's why I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about how important it is to be the media, to be the change you wish to see in the world, as your name so says. So I wanted to ask you to inform those out there who are pissed off at the globalist establishment and pissed off at the mainstream media that they can change the false narrative we're faced with daily. That they can too be the change. So can you tell us what finally made you say enough is enough and pick up a camera and start independent media?
There's been many stories that have brought me to many different transitions within my life that have brought me to where I am right now. A lot of it has to deal with the results of people who don't care about other people. A lot of it came through tragic, very highly emotional, destructive events that many people are left wondering, like, what the hell do I do here? Whether it's 9/11 that affected a lot of the people around me, that affected me because I was in New York City. Whether it was getting assaulted by police officers when I was a teenager, not having any recourse. A lot of these kind of transformative events could either bring you down or they could bring you up into a pathway looking towards a solution in life. And I always use those kind of moments and opportunities to try to reassess on how to make myself better in those situations, how to try to prevent those situations, and how to make sure to be as effective as I can in transitioning those negative things into something more positive, more constructive. With police officers beating me up when I was younger, transition to having a video camera always on me and standing up and being accountable for police officers when they did go over the line, when they did overexceed their power, and film them and document their actions. And of course, this transition always leads you to very different pathways. Of course, many people will automatically point and be triggered, be like, "Oh, you think all police officers are bad?" No, that's not always the case. But I think more accountability, especially with power, is needed in our current day society, and it's up to all of us to stay vigilant, aware, and on our toes to make sure everything in our lives is running smoothly and people don't get away with hurting other people without any reason to. With 9/11, obviously it was a huge opportunity. A lot of my friends have passed away from the illnesses from the rubble when the government told them the air was safe to breathe, but it was filled with asbestos. We used that opportunity to fundraise for them, get their stories out, because they were denied help from every level of government, state, local, federal, denied them the basic benefits that they were entitled to, even as city workers, even as firefighters, even as police officers, even as military men of this country. Were denied basic benefits that were contractually obligated to them for medical purposes, that they were denied from the government that lied to them, hurt them in the first place. So after seeing something like that, it was a tremendous opportunity to bring people together, do one-on-one outreach, do one-on-one help, do one-on-one fundraising, and also let people know out there some of these government top officials don't care even about the people who serve them, including the police officers, military men, and firefighters of this country. Always huge, amazing, insane moments happen, and you kind of always have to utilize them to be the best that you can in those situations, and not let them detract you and take away and bring you into that negativity that started it all.
Yeah, and you make a really good point when you say that you took a bad thing that happened and made the best out of it. Other people could have gone the exact opposite route, and I'm sure you have friends, I have friends that we've seen this happen to as well. And with that said, I mean, a lot of people have to ask when getting into media how to be patient about it, because of course when you first begin, you barely get any traffic. You get, myself, I went from 50 to 100 to 1,000 to a few thousand, but it took years to really get to where every now and then I'll have a video, it's 100,000 views or more, and it's not easy to get to that point. So what would you tell people when it comes to being patient and keeping persistent in order to get to the level where you at We Are Change are today?
Very easily, do what you love. If you do what you love, the views, the hits, the the money doesn't matter. I mean, if I was getting paid $0, I would still be doing the same things that I'm doing right now. I would
And I'm
still
sure
be
you
having-
have.
Yeah, and then that happened earlier on in the career where I had to sleep on random people's couches. Sometimes I slept at airports. Sometimes I slept even on the streets in Barcelona, being stuck in random situations because the monetary incentive wasn't there. But I still believed in it, and I still loved doing what I was doing. And I would still be having the same conversations with other individuals because I'm so curious, because I want to know, regardless if there was a video camera or not, regardless if it was on YouTube.
Yeah.
So once you start doing what you love, all those other things, don't really matter or aren't that significant. And then I think that kind of residency, that kind of energy flows and is very congruent to a lot of people out there who see it, who resonate with it. And not being worried about the little superficial things will help you progress to success.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's amazing. If I would have just given up in the beginning, which could have been very easy. I mean, when you get almost nothing and no one's watching, you're putting so much work into something and it's just getting nowhere. I mean, eventually it takes off, and that comes from consistency, which I'm going to get into in a minute, and persistency as well. And I find it really incredible how far back your channel really goes, and it did take you a while to get that boost, but you've always done good videos from the very beginning. And I wanted to ask you, can you remember the first video you ever did for your channel and how it went down?
One of the first ones that really sparked everything was the confrontation with Zbigniew Brzezinski. I was at a very low point in my life. Decided to, slowly play around with videos. I have been ever since that police encounter, but I never really did anything major with it.
Yeah.
The major incident was Zbigniew Brzezinski, where I asked him questions. Security guards literally lifted me off and kicked me out of the venue. They tried to steal my videotape. I had to run away from them. There was a little chase scene, and that was one of my first major videos. I believe we were on Blip before YouTube.
Yeah.
Back in the day, there was all these other alternative
I remember
platforms.
well,
We never knew which one would take off. We did a lot of uploading on Blip. A lot of stuff has taken off there, but then Blip just totally went down and became irrelevant. I have to go look into Blip to see the actual first video, but I think it was the Zbigniew Brzezinski one that really started it all.
Yeah, and it was, I'm sure, you talk with Change Media University here in Acapulco. You do talk about the proper way to confront someone. And it's hard not to let the passion take over sometimes when you confront an elitist, a globalist, or some kind of elitist Bilderberg member, politician, etc. It's hard not to let your anger towards what they're doing take off. And you've been able for many years to just hold back the emotion and get the information out rather than let the emotion take over. How do you hold back? I mean, some of these people that you've talked to, Jacob Rothschild, Henry Kissinger, it's hard not to scream in their face. How do you do that?
I choose not to engage in the frequency of anger because that really comes from the frequency of fear, and I just don't choose to engage in it. Not that I hate these people; it's more that I feel sorry for them. Coming from a more empathetic kind of point of view, you'd be a lot more constructive in life than hating someone for what they did or their viewpoints.
Sure.
So I always understood that, and I would never try to bring out more destructive realms into my work because it's not really that conducive. Now, of course, it's also something I had to learn.
Yeah.
Other times, especially earlier on in my career, I wasn't the best about it, but luckily I learned, and I think my full understanding now is to try to get as much done as I can, but doing it from an aspect that will benefit the majority of people.
And it shows the fear from them rather than yourself as well. You mentioned that it's by getting angry, it's a way to show that you are in some way in fear of them. And I've noticed several times in some of your confrontations, people like Kissinger calls you a very sick person. And it seems like that might be his portrayal of fear of people like you and me and Dan Dix and others that are out to expose many of the things that they've done.
Where usually people, when they get into that emotional anger side, they usually reciprocate what they believe about themselves onto other people, so they don't have to deal with those kind of emotions about themselves. It's interesting to see just a simple, calmly asked question be reciprocated with total anger and hatred and insult
Yeah.
when it's just a simple question. And it pretty much shows you everything you need to know about the videos we make and the people we ask and what their mindset really is.
Yeah, and confrontations are my favorite only because it's not very often that you see people actually go up to these people and ask them the real questions. In fact, they basically never talk about the things that they do, and these people within the shadow government stay pretty low for the most part. And this form of journalism is one of the most original and effective forms of journalism we've ever seen. Going back to the 1800s, there were journalists that did exactly what you did, go up to these politicians and ask them real questions. But over the last 100 years, of course, that doesn't exactly exist anymore. And I wanted to just move on and ask if there was ever a moment you felt like giving up, and what made you persist all the same?
Yeah, I think naturally you question yourself, you question if you're right, you question what you're doing, and I think you should, and I think it's healthy to do that. So obviously, you always need to look back and analyze your behavior, analyze the work you've done, the fruits of your labor, and of course that there's been many low points where I've been slandered and attacked, and had a lot of bad people in my life that screwed me or lied to me. But that's life. That's like what you're gonna give up on life. You're gonna give up on your true mission, on your true purpose. My work is my life's goal. If I give up on that, I'll give up on life. I do it intrinsically out of love because I love doing this. I care about this. The truth means a lot to me. Knowing exactly what's happening means a lot to me. Keeping the public informed about what's really happening is really important to me. It's my way of trying to give back. And nothing, no one, no situation, no matter how harsh, no matter how bad, no matter how many times I've been in jail, no matter how many times I've been assaulted, no matter how many times I've been slandered, no matter how many times people lied to me and screwed me over and stole money from me, I'm not going to allow them to dictate my life because I'm in control of my life.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, these hard times, if anything, in the long run motivate you to do more, don't they? I mean,
Yeah.
I've had money stolen from me through my media as well. I mean, people try to use you when you are, say, in the news or doing something that they want to do, but they're not willing to do it themselves, and they look to you, and because they can't do what you're doing, or they just don't have they don't have the motivation to do it. They get jealous in one way or another and do what they need to do in order to make themselves feel better by hurting you.
Yep.
And in the long run, doesn't that just motivate you more to make the best out of every situation and go into everything with a stronger head?
Yeah, I mean, you could only be the best version of yourself, and you do that through introspection, you do that through insight. You also have to be careful not to let ego or pride get the best of you, which is a continual battle with, I think, a lot of people who are in this media realm. It's something that I have to deal with and I struggle with, and I think we need to be more open and have more conversations about that, and be more susceptible to constructive criticism and learn how we could all be better. Any points you have that you think are fair and valid on the work that I do, in ways that it could be better, in ways that you think is crap, let me know. I would love to hear it. I engage my audience as much as I can, every time I can, even with my busy, insane schedule. And I enjoy it. I enjoy being on this path, and I enjoy being on this journey.
It's an amazing thing, and it did start off to a certain extent for me as jealousy when I watched you and Dan do all these things, and I let that transform into actual motivation, because what you're doing is something that not a lot of people are willing to do, and there's a lot of people out there watching right now that want to do it but just aren't willing to pick up their feet and do it because it seems hard, and it is, and nothing good is easy, right, in the long run. And I really hope that more people take acknowledgement of what Luke's saying here and does it themselves, because I feel in the alternative media community it's not about competition, it's about the truth.
Yeah. Sadly, a lot of people don't see it that way.
Oh, absolutely agree. Now, just finishing it off here, I've noticed recently you've been targeted for the same reasons I've been targeted, for the same reasons Dan's been targeted, for consistency, because of course you bashed Bush, you bashed Obama on the things they did wrong, and now you're bashing Trump for the things he did wrong, but you're also standing up for the truth when the media lies about him. So talk a bit about consistency in media, and why do you think there are so many people that are kind of just jumping on the Trump bandwagon because it feels like a slight bit of relief from what was in the past? Meanwhile, so many of the same things continue on and on and on and on. What do you say to people that say you're a Trump hater, and what do you say to those that say that you are a Trumpster?
I think you pretty much answered the question right there. I mean, there's nothing really to say. Yeah. I guide my work on principles that I deep down believe within my core, and that is the basic principles of love, of freedom, free speech, being anti-war, being anti-violence, being against aggression of any sort, against any kind of pain or racism or discrimination or unfair treatment of any other human being. I outline my principles more coherently in previous videos, and it's also demonstrated on my website with my code of conduct. And I think once you start using your principles as a way to define you, you'll be a lot more consistent, because it is easy for a lot of people to get addicted to the clicks, to get addicted to the monetary incentives, but ultimately you're not being a true, genuine version of yourself. And I would rather be poor with no views and still be me than be rich and famous and really popular but pretending to be somebody that I'm not, violating my own principles that I deep down believe in my core. So I don't blame those people. I don't have any judgment on those people. They do what they do. Ultimately, everything does come around eventually. Ultimately, the lessons that need to be learned will be learned. And they're on their own path. I'm on my own path. This is the path that I defined for myself, and no one's going to stand in the way of that. No one could change that about me.
Absolutely. Well, you do incredible work. You continue to inspire me, and I really hope that other people watch and are inspired in the same way, because we can't do it without more individuals standing up and continuing to be the change we wish to see. I know a lot of people are fans, and if, a little bit of free time during the day, you got a little camera, put up videos on your couch. I mean, do whatever you need to do to get that message out, because the truth is stronger than any standing army, and in the long run, the truth will always prevail. It just takes people like Luke and others to get that truth out, and of course, yourself. So thank you very much, Luke, for talking with us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Best of luck on your journey as well.
Absolutely.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Keep getting politicians in trouble.